So we were just debating as to whether or not we should continue the debate on whether or not we're an agent or a broker. Haven't hit a brick wall yet, so let's keep it rolling. You were saying?
I was just saying, when you're talking about selling and convincing before this jerk touched me, I was saying that sometimes a candidate may perceive something as being wrong about an opportunity, but in reality that isn't something wrong. That's where we have to sell or convince, because we have to explain to him that that's not a problem with the opportunity. We got to show him that whatever it is it's telling him that's bad, that it's really not. So I'm just saying, it sounds like confusing, but in a sense we're selling and convincing them because sometimes their own mind will tell them the opportunity is not bad, or it is bad for some specific reason, but it's really not. You know what I mean? Like, they may get some signs that aren't really there, and they may take that and run with them in their own way. So it's a big part of our service, I think.
I think there's also something to be said for, I mean, I just went through a recent situation with a candidate where, I don't know, from my view and from the client's view both, it was very clear that the role that we were talking about was undoubtedly a phenomenal step forward in his career and was definitely a positive move, but was somebody who was a very, very classic passive candidate, not the oh haha every engineering today is looking candidate, like, you know, I'm really, really happy only if X, and that X was very small, is out there will I move, and we just so happened to come across that, and it was one of the things where it really was, I'll use the word, it was really closing him every step of the way and helping him really come to terms with the fact that, yeah, here in a couple of weeks you're going to walk into your boss's office and say, I quit, whenever literally 2 weeks ago you had no dreams about leaving your company for years.
Right.
So, you know, I think there is this time and a place whenever we need to be, and maybe that is where I contradict myself and say that we represent the candidate, and I think really at the end of the day we're doing a service for our candidates, even though it may seem as though we're acting on behalf of the client.
Well, I think there's no doubt we absolutely are salesmen. Some of us are even closers, but I think it boils down to a very basic rule in sales, and that's the fact that you don't represent something or you don't sell something that you don't believe in. It doesn't matter if a company wants to hire 30 people at 30%. If you're not excited, if what they're doing is boring and no one wants to go work for them, it's not a good account. It's just not. So you mitigate that by only working with companies that are truly innovating, are doing something special, and you know your candidates will have an interest in that. That way when you are telling them, when you are selling them, it's not phony. You know, you understand what they're doing and you get excited about what they're doing, you know, and then hopefully your candidate will get excited about it too.
No, I believe you. And then
I appreciate that.
And on the flip side, you're just as passionate about your candidates, right?
Sometimes. No, it's true. It's the same principle on both sides. I mean, it's a very firm rule. Don't work with a company that you wouldn't go work for yourself, and don't represent a candidate that you wouldn't hire yourself.
Or that you don't like.
Or that you don't like.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's a hard thing to do. You know, you get a guy with an extremely pretty resume who you would never want to be alone with in a room, never go like get coffee with, you know. It's a hard thing, but you have to weigh that. You have to weigh that, and if you stay true to your profession as a salesman, as a headhunter, you'll take a pass on it.
So I guess to kind of close up like the discussion about what's our obligation to a client, you know, should they be upset if we're, you know, sending the same candidate to them as we are to multiple companies. I've had clients ask me a couple times in like you know, when we're still getting to know each other and how we work and this and that, they ask me that same question, like, what if you find a candidate and they're a good fit for me as well as someone else? Who do you send them to? Does the highest fee win? And I've heard that before.
Highest fee wins.
Highest fee wins. I don't say that. I'll say in full disclosure, if I find that a candidate is interested in not only your company but like 3 other clients, I'm gonna send them to all the companies, because I have to do from that perspective what's in the best interest of the candidate. I'll tell you if they're actively interviewing. I probably won't tell you where, because we got to keep that confidential, but I will tell you that there is action and activity, and I'll always do my best to represent both you and the candidate, see that everyone's getting the best of all worlds. So I think from that perspective, I don't think that a candidate should be upset with us, because they'll let us work for weeks and months on a job and then hire someone that walks in off the street. They have zero obligation to us from that perspective. So I think that they'll understand that it's mutual, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's also our obligation and right, not right, but it's our obligation to our candidates to let them know that this is how we work and like this is the expectation, just to kind of set that expectation, so they're not like thrown off when they're extending an offer to a candidate and we're like, you know, he's considering 3 other opportunities through us right now, and because that could get a little bit awkward.
I think really at the end of the day that I still stand by what I say. I really feel like at the end of the day we work for our, that I feel like I work primarily for my candidates, and then certainly also I think in doing so then represent the best interests of my clients. And I think at the end of the day that if we operate on the policy that Cameron says, don't represent a client that you wouldn't go to work for, don't represent a candidate that you wouldn't want to hang out with or hire yourself. And on the flip side of that, work under a policy of full disclosure. Be open, be honest. Hey, this guy's interviewing a bunch of places. Be open with your candidate about where your client's head's at.
Yep.
If you operate on that level, just on the full disclosure level, then you can represent yourself, you can represent the client, you can represent the candidate, you can represent all three. Really, at the end of the day, you're doing the best service for everybody.
Yep.
I think a lot of times what we can tell our clients right off the bat, you know, here's this guy, he's phenomenal at what he does. I'm sending him to a few other people. If you're interested, let me know, and I'll facilitate the introduction.
Yeah.
You know, there's no misconception about what I'm doing. You know, the guy is very good. A lot of people that I talk to are going to be interested in. I'm sure you're one of them. Let me know if you want to.
As long as you're open and honest.
Right.
As long as you're open and honest.
Full disclosure.
I think at the end of the day, there's no definition, there's no fine line of what a recruiter is. I mean, there isn't that gray line because we are representing the client, we are representing the candidate, and we're here to make money for ourselves, obviously. So there is that gray line. We're just trying to find the best fit between all of that, and kind of going back to the agent versus broker thing. I mean, if someone's passive, we're going to be their agent. We're going to try to find that dream job, that 10 out of 10 position. But when they start moving through the process, when it gets to the end of the deal, you're going to become the broker. You want that deal to close. You want to close it up and have them take that position. So it's kind of like
I think that's beautiful. I think that sums it up perfectly.
That was very nicely. Yeah, that's probably one thing we haven't talked about is our role probably transitions and changes throughout where our candidates are at, even maybe within the interview process.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, just to kind of exactly on that note, close up the debate. I think recruiters take on different roles depending on when they're working with someone and what stage of whatever process they're in. I'd say during the actual deal, we're a broker. I don't think there's any debate on that. And I'd say 90% of recruiters in this world are brokers to the deal. That's our job, that's our responsibility, that's our mission, that's our job description, that's what we do. We're supposed to broker deals. I'd say a recruiter becomes a good recruiter, a great recruiter, when they also take an active interest in the careers of their candidates and almost serve as career managers / agents to them. We do that a little bit, maybe not enough. I mean, you could argue, depending on how your desk and little market niche is set up, could be doing it more or whatever. But when we know the marketplace well enough to call up a candidate and say, hey man, you've been to this company for 3 years now, and there's some good action going on in this space, and I recommend, based on everything I know, that this is what you should look into. And the guy's like, you know what, you're right, let's take a shot at some of these roles. That's when you're an agent. So I think we play a little bit of both, and I think candidates, knowing that, would appreciate that. I mean, knowing our role in the process.
That's when you're a BINC recruiter.
You're a big recruiter.
I think without a doubt, all of the clients that we work with have extremely different personality types. We have the guys who probably are of the mindset that, oh, I can't believe you're sending this guy to somewhere else, your loyalty should be me. And I think on the flip side of that, we probably have clients who are, of course I know you're sending them other places, we just want to crack at them, and kind of everything in between. And it's the same thing for us. I mean, there are all different types of recruiters. There are recruiters who will mine the job boards and look on Monster and send the resume to 15 to 20 different people that they probably never talked to. By the way, those are the guys who are offering you 15 to 20%. But it's all types, and we're viewed differently by different people. Hopefully this will give us a little, or give the public or whoever our clients are some exposure to how we look at things. But at the end of the day, different people are going to view us differently.
Yeah, we're not for everybody, so it's always all good. So on that note, we thought it'd be cool to go through a couple of different things going on in the news and the blogosphere. 2 minutes. We'll go through it real quickly here. We'll try to make this a staple of an Ask BINC session, just go through all the things going on in the marketplace, talk about the ones that are of interest, and kind of chuck the ones that aren't. So, Facebook and LinkedIn, they're allowing employees to sell 20% of their stock. Is that interesting? Does anyone care? Is it going to do anything for the candidate marketplace?
Sell to who?
So which stuff?
Sell 20% of their stock. So if you own, let's say Facebook, I don't know, what are they valued at, 100 million or something like that?
Yeah.
500 million? Who knows?
10 billion.
Yeah.
15 bill.
Depends on who you
15
ask.
billion.
Do you ask Uncle Bill, or do you ask the market?
It's actually kind of like an interesting thing, because let's say you're an engineer at Facebook and you have, I don't know, $1 million worth of stock. You don't have to wait for the company to go public. You can actually take 20% of your stock, $200,000 worth, and sell it to a private investor, I don't know, maybe on some kind of exchange or something like that, but you could start, you know, seeing value from the actual equity before they hit some kind of an exit.
That'd actually be pretty cool if there was like a stock exchange for like
Equity,
privately owned
privately held
equity.
stock?
That'd be
Maybe there
great.
is, who knows, I don't know. Is there?
I don't think so.
Stock's my money guy, I'm not him.
Does that affect anything? Does that make it easier or harder to recruit these guys?
It may give you a little bit quicker out. I mean, if you're looking at a startup, I mean, most people are down, like most people join a startups like for the kind of like part of like the investing edge, like getting a chance of the long-term payout, and maybe it takes a little bit of the sting off of the risk. You know, you have you're going to get 80% big payout if the company cashes in, but you can also sell some
Yeah,
upfront. I don't know.
Maybe
So
make it easier for us to
we're
take
out of
a
time
lot.
again. Do we want to actually
No, we're
tackle
done.
some of this?
We're done. Till next week.
Okay.
We're done. Till next week.